This presentation is an introduction to the core sprinkler evaluation functions of HydroGraph. Other videos will cover water tests, graph options, and estimating tools. To perform a hydraulic evaluation, you'll need three things: a current water supply test, the sprinkler system placard information, and your required design. Note that HydroGraph does not do hydraulic calculations on the sprinkler system and cannot compare designs of differing areas, or compare a density area design to a K-factor pressure design. Let's get right to it. First, we will enter a hydrant test. Click the Supply button and fill in dialog box. You will note that this dialog allows for up to 5 test points. This allows you to enter fire pump test data if you have it. The dialog also has an option to adjust the test if it was located a great distance from the sprinkler system or at a significant elevation variance. You have the option to enter the hose allowance in this dialog. This is provided for those agencies that prefer to display the water supply with the hose allowance removed. You can enter the allowance here, or in the demand dialog, it doesn't matter. Clicking OK will return you to the graph. The supply will be displayed as a line if you entered a hydrant test, or a series of lines if you entered a pump test. Next, click on the Demand button to display the demand dialog. Two options are presented: density area and K-factor pressure. Choose the appropriate box and complete the dialog entries with the placard information. When you click OK, the graph will now show the supply line in blue and the demand line in red. The design point will be plotted on the demand curve. Most agencies evaluate system performance based on the total demand of sprinklers plus the hose allowance. To generate the total demand, click on the Calculate button. Enter the placard demand in the required entry box and click Calculate. 4 points will be calculated: 2 demand points and 2 performance points. The first demand point is the required supply to meet just the sprinkler demand. The second point is the supply required to meet the total demand of sprinkler plus hose streams. 2 performance points are also generated. The first point, the intersection of the supply and demand curves, is what the sprinkler system can be expected to do with the available water supply. The second point is what the sprinkler system can be expected to do with the available water supply with the hose allowance taken into account. You can select any or all of these points to be graphed. In this example, I will only call for the total demand point to be graphed. Note, if you are evaluating the original design point, it is best not to graph the required point, as the 2 points are the same and it can get confusing editing the graph. If the placard design does not match your required design, HydroGraph can estimate the demands for an alternate design. Click on Calculate to display the calculation dialog. Enter the required design in the required box and calculate. The 4 points for the new design will now be displayed. A common error is to forget to select the points you want graphed. If you do this, re-enter the calculations and select the appropriate points. HydroGraph cannot calculate multiple demand lines. If you wish to display additional demands, they can be graphed using the Add Line facility in the ribbon bar. In this example, I am going to add a system with an 11 psi elevation pressure and a demand point of 625 gallons at 68 psi. The results of the calculations and the graph are available to be copied and pasted into most word processors or spreadsheets. You can also export the graph to a file in multiple formats to be attached to an email. That is the end of the presentation. For additional information, refer to the help file.